again. It's Campbell from Stitch Therapy. How are you guys? How was your week? Someone asked about my mug. Yes. I went to New Zealand for my 40th birthday, December of 2000. And I spent the whole month there, and I did a active sports New Zealand trip on my own. Met some amazing people, traveled the South Island, and then spent another 2 weeks, 8 days, maybe 8 or 9, 10 days with myself driving around from youth hostel to youth hostel on the North Island of New Zealand. So, yeah. So it was great. I would love to go to Australia. I had a dream of bicycling Australia or something and doing a couple hundred miles in Australia or up and down that coast or something. I don't know. I've seen people online do it, and I'm like, oh, I would love to do that. But it's not the way the world's working out right now. So hello, everybody. Hi, my stitchy friends. Shout out again to Lara. Your latest video cracked me up. Oh my goodness, I stitch birds the dark version. Hilarious. If you guys haven't seen that, go see it. It's very funny, and she's hilarious throughout, and she has a bunch of finishes too, which is exciting. I have some finishes in this video myself. I have some old finishes that have not been framed or mounted that I'm going to show you, that I've cleaned and I've ironed. Ooh, and I'm going to show you. I also have the Hungarian patterns that I mentioned last time. I'm going to show you those. I laid them out flat. Hopefully they're not going to curl too badly. I have them on a board over here to try and flip through, show you the idea. I don't know. I don't know if the world needs one more sampler from me. But anyway, it's an interesting idea. It's an interesting project. It might be fun to do. I did get back to Eden a little bit. The big honkin' project, my big full coverage from Holly Sierra from her beautiful painting Eden. And so I've done a couple thousand stitches on that, I guess. But I have also had some thinking about what I was talking about last time, which is stitching and stress reduction. And I've been talking to people recently about a 60-40 split. How do we make our lives more joyful? And of course, as stitchers, we know you just start a new project or you open up a new whip or whatever. We know how to make ourselves happy. We go and buy stash. But, you know, for most folks that I come across, they have a lot of stress. They have a lot of problems with sleeping. They have a lot of problems with depression. And things just get overwhelming. And so many times when I'm listening to people, I ask them, what is it that you can do that would reduce the stress? What would help you do the minimum just for today? What would help you on a daily basis do the minimum? And because sometimes that's all that we need, right? I think sometimes enough really is enough. Kind of like Winnicott, if you guys know anything about therapy, there's a guy named Winnicott who wrote a theoretical therapy paper where he talks about good enough parenting. That perfect parenting actually screws up your kids. That when you have a break in relationship with your kids, if you have a tear, you can repair it. And that is good psychologically for children, that they get to see their parents are human, they get to see that they make mistakes, and they get to see that they can repair these relationships. So good enough parenting. That's the therapy tip for today. If you want to go check out a therapeutic theory, it's called Good Enough Parenting, and it's by a guy named Winnicott. So check him out. He's cool. But one of the things I've said to folks is what I do in my life, which helps me tremendously. And I'm going to pass it on to you. We're going to have a little bit of kitchen time today because it's Sunday. And what do I do on Sunday? I prep my meals for the week. Yes, indeed I do. So I think I mentioned in my first video that I'm sober on everything, including sugar and flour. Well, that's a very true thing. I am a self-confessed sugar and flour addict, and about 470 something days ago, I quit and detoxed and have changed my eating pattern. And you know, there's the side benefits of losing a bunch of weight and getting down to a basic weight and all that stuff. But for me, it just makes me feel better, and it's helped me sleep better, feel better. And one of my tricks of the trade that I have learned from other people who do this is to prep your meals for the week. For those of us who are busy with kids, still working, and trying to stitch, come on, we still want to have our stitchy time. So prepping your meals is going to give you more times in the evening to, you don't have to fuss around with getting home and the stress of, oh, I'm completely tapped out. I've been at work all day and now I have to cook dinner. And oh my God, what am I going to bake? What am I going to cook? Oh, how much protein? How much this? How much that? Oh, a salad. Keep it simple, is what I say. And so I'm going to show you a couple of videos of my breakfast and my lunch prep for work. And for dinner, I'll just tell you right up front, I make a big bowl of mixed lettuce greens with some shredded carrots, and I put it in a giant bowl, and I put it in the fridge with a little towel on the bottom of the bowl so it doesn't get, the lettuce leaves don't get nasty. And then I just put it in the fridge, and at night, after I've prepped my meals, I've prepped my dinner meals also, so I just take the bowl out, throw some salad on the plate, you know, whatever, add my tomatoes, add my cucumbers to taste, and whatever, put a little dressing on it, and it's done. It's really, it takes the brain work out of meals, which I think for everyone who is a partner, a spouse, or a single person like myself, who you get home and you're just tired. Let's face it, we only have enough attention span in one day to basically wake up, shower, get dressed, go do our jobs, earn a living, hopefully doing something joyful that makes you happy. And if not, I'm sorry. But yeah, pay the bills, all these things that we are, you know, we're stitchers, yes. And so that makes us very special people. But we're not immune, right? We're not immune to stress, and we're not immune to getting dragged down and feeling crappy. And, you know, even if you're a stay-at-home person, prepping meals, you won't feel guilty stitching. How fabulous is that? You'll be like, I can actually spend the day stitching because I've prepped dinner and I've prepped lunch for my partner or whatever. How fabulous is that? So all you have to do is like throw the laundry in and do some stitching for the day. How cool is that? That's what I do on my day off, by the way. I vacuum, do laundry, and stitch all day on my Thursdays off. I'm learning how to do all this editing, by the way. Yes, Sarah from Northwood Stitcher, I do use my Mac, iMac Pro. That's the way that I edit all of this stuff. And if any of you have any tips that you want to leave in the comment box for how I edit and do these videos. For instance, I'm struggling with the glare on the glasses. I saw a whole video about glare on glasses, and they have these giant light boxes with the big thing, and people get really into like a production around, you know, whatever. And I'm like, no. Not for this person, no. These are very homemade videos. These are very homegrown stitchy floss tubes. Just because I'm enjoying spending time with you. Oh, and I have one very cool thrift shop find for carrying projects. Maybe I'll show that to you first. Would you like to see my thrift shop find of the week? Okay, I'm going to stop. I'll go get it and I'll show you because it's kind of cool. It's just one little thing, but it's a carrying bag for my large stitch projects. Okay, here we go. This is it. This is my thrift shop find of the week. This is a bag that I think was made for artists, like an artist's bag. It's made of canvas. It's got zippers. It's brand new. The guy was selling it for $30 and he was having a sale, so he gave it to me. He let me buy it for $15, which is very cool. It's really tough canvas, and I think it is big enough that I can carry the gnome project in here. Let's see. Yep, that works. I can carry the gnome project in there, and I can probably carry, not only keep it on the frame, but I can probably maybe even do the metal frame in there too. I already have a carrying case for Eden because I made one. So I will show you that right now. This is the project bag I made for Eden. It's, I think, 30 inches tall. No. Wait. It's like 36 inches across, and I think probably 25 to 30, 25, 27 inches tall. I made this project bag. It's got Velcro on it instead of zippers, and it's got a waterproof lined cotton. It's like a cotton waterproof lining. And I also made a little sock, a runner sock for the legs of the frame. So that's what I put, and I'm going to try and do this slowly. So when hi Tink, there's Tinker, a little cameo from Tinker Tailor. Say hi, Bubba. Oh, you're a good girl. Oh, you're a good girl. Hello. She's my stitcher buddy today. Taki's in the crate sleeping. Anyway, so when these legs come off, and I just fold them out straight. And then when I take them apart, and I travel with this frame quite a bit, and I'll just take the frame down, put the legs out, and put them in the project bag. And then I just go wherever I need to go. This is as far as I've gotten with Eden. I think the before picture shows this much. I don't know. But yeah, this is as far as I've gone. I added, what are the colors? I've been working with color number 17, which is this. And what is this? 3047. These are the two colors I was working with today, or this week. It's really nice to get back to Eden. It's on, for those of you who have just joined me, you'll have to go into my previous Flosstube. The first Flosstube shows the whole picture and talks about how I got this pattern started. So if you're just starting with us, if this is your first stitch therapy, please go back and see Stitch Therapy 1, because it talks about how this pattern came to be. Yeah, so it was really nice to go back. Again, I'm doing it on 18 count, 2/1. And I just loved being able to use my Silky DMC on this. It was really nice after working on 14 count to come back and work on 18 count, which I think is my happy place. I really like 18 count. All right, that's it for now. Okay, tips and tricks in the kitchen today. Do you guys ever have, when you take the milk lid off and you try to pour milk in your coffee and it's all crusty and you get these like little white crusts in your mouth? Anybody else have that problem? Okay. Take the ring off. Take a knife. Go underneath here. Oh, of course I can't do this very well. Go under here, take the knife, pop it off, wipe it down, get rid of all the little crusties, and then the next time you pour your milk, no crusties. Whoops, that's Tink. Okay, tip number 2, prep your meals for the whole week, Monday through Friday. If you're still working, if you're retired, it's even easier. So when you prep your meals, you have more time to stitch. If you like to stitch in the morning, easy peasy, Mona Lisa. There's no breakfast making. You just prep everything. So here's what I'm prepping for this week. Here's what I'm prepping for this week. So I'm going to have It's a squash stew. Oh, this is terrible. So here's what I'm prepping for the week. It's a squash stew. Da 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 da, 'tis the season for fresh squash. Oh. So my quick easy bake is, I'm setting the stove for 350. I have 2 beautiful peppers, and I have 5 green and yellow squash, and 1 onion, and a can of sugar-free diced tomatoes. No seasoning. If you read the back, sometimes they put weird seasonings in them that have sugar, so make sure there's no sugar. And then your pan, da-da-da, which I'm just going to spray with I'm just going to line it with a little bit of olive oil. And then spices to choice. So baby dill is nice to chop in there if you have any. I didn't find any at Kroger. Italian herbs is good. Salt is always appropriate. And pepper to choice, ground black pepper. Anyway, you can season it any old way you want, but this is the basics. So I chop this all up and I bake it, and then I measure out my portions for the week in my little bowls, and I'm done. I do the same thing with my breakfast. I measure out my portions, I put them in little tins, and they're done. And then I have enough of the squash left over for dinner, so I just scoop it out for dinner. Oops, 350 timer just went off. See you guys later. Hey, I hope you liked the little section on stress reduction and meal prep. So, let's go and look at some finishes. Some are old, some are new, and one is my finish from last week. Let's go! First off is a pattern that is a very famous designer, and I was not able to find the date of this pattern, but I think it's a Diane Arthur. Is that right? Somebody correct me in the notes down below. This is from 2003, and what I really like about this pattern is it was actually, the back stitching was really fun. I just love the colors. If I had to do it again, I would probably do 3 threads. This is a 14 count 2/1. I would probably do 3 threads to fill in. As I told you last time, I'm not wild about being able to see the fabric under. But yeah, so this is really fun. This was a really fun part to do. And then, of course, the little belt, all the back stitching was really fun. Really, really fun. And her hair, like Medusa. That's kind of me when I stitch. And then that. Blessed are the cross stitches, for they shall count what they sew. Yes, we shall. All right, that's one. The next one was a biggie that I started in 94, but I got it done in 2009. No, 2004. Sorry, that's a 4. So it was 94 that I started this, and I think this was a kit. It was a kit. So I'll go through each section of this. This one I really love doing. I worked on this a long time. I had just moved to New York when I started this, and I was kind of freaked out when I first moved to New York. I was a single woman in 94, and 6 months later I had, I went into therapy, let's just put it that way, and was in therapy for a long time. I was an actress when I moved there, and as I told you guys before, I was there almost 18 years as an actor, and then left because I went back to grad school to become a therapist, which is what I do now. So, these fish were so fantastic. They all have their own little personalities. Like this guy's grumpy. He woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and his sister didn't do too well either. This guy's okay. This one's like, it's all right. Life's okay. But these guys are like grumpy fish. Grumpy fish. But the whales are happy. The whales are like, we're happy. We love it. We love it. Life is good. We're whales. Again, I'm not sure. You lose the tail of this whale in here, but when you pull it out, it's not so bad. I love the sun. The sun was really fun. That hooked me in. And then these little, there's another little, if that was orange, that could be Nemo. Finding Nemo. I love the red on this. The seahorse. Yeah, these are really cool to do. The backstitching, I'm not going to lie, took me a while. But it was really fun. These guys are really happy. Little dolphins. Yay, we love them. And Mr. Moon. Mr. Moon creeped me out when I first did it. I was like, those lips. That's a bit of a creepy moon, but now I really like it. And then here's some more fishkas. Fishkies. Little fishkies. Love all the pattern. This was just a great pattern. It was very comforting to do. In a period in my time, I was saying how cross stitch has really kind of emotionally helped me through so many periods of my life. This pattern and doing this project, and I think it was a dimensions kit. I don't know. It was some sort of, Design Works or, I don't know. I can't remember. It was too long ago. But doing this really, really, really helped me focus my mind in a period of time when I was not doing well. And this was my friend. It was like I would come and I'd sit and I'd stitch. And it was like, my friend. And you see, when I would see progress, or I'd finish the back of the sky or something, it would be like, okay, I'm making progress in my life for something. Maybe not what my dream was, but as an actor, but I was making progress on my cross stitch. And for me, at that time in my life, it was enough. This is a pandemic partridge in a pear tree. I found this this old pattern in an old Just Cross Stitch or World of Cross Stitch, or one of the magazines that was in my mom's stash, and I had Xeroxed, there I go again, I had copied this pattern on a color copier and had saved it. And this is a 30, I think it's 32 or 36 count Laguna. It's a little stray piece that was in my mom's box. And I did one, what did I do? I did 1/2. No, I did 2/, wow. I think I did 2/1 on this. It's very tiny. Very, very tiny. Yes, and I finished this in 2020. I think this was my Christmas finish. I'd have to go back. My online Facebook group knows when I finished it. I can't remember. But partridge in a pear tree. And it was, like I said, from some old magazine. If any of you recognize this and can tell me what magazine it was it Just Cross Stitch, or was it Cross Stitch World, or was it, I don't know. My mom and I were subscribed to so many of them. But anyway, that was really fun to do. I was thinking about my mom when I did that. It was really fun. I think I showed you this one before. Yes, this is that one before. And this is the finish of the week. Ta-da! Yes, I finished it. This was called the Misfit. I showed you guys the pattern picture last week. It's on 14 count Aida, and it's 2/1, except the bear is 4/1. He's a little grumpy. But I made him 2 extra strands over 1 because I like him popping out a little bit. The quote, "True belonging doesn't require that we change who we are." That is a quote from a psychotherapist and inspirational person that I think is amazing called Brené Brown. You can find her on YouTube. She does, her famous TED Talk is the one about vulnerability. And how vulnerability actually makes us strong psychologically. And she's done tons and tons of research on vulnerability and things like that. So if you ever feel like you're holding it together and whatever, Brene says, nope, don't hold it together. Let it all hang out. Let it go. Nobody's perfect. Again, going back to the theme of this Flosstube this week seems to be we are all good enough. We're doing enough, and we're good enough. Needlepoint pieces. This one is one that I did on my own. I just kind of designed this and did it on my own when I was in grad school because I wanted to learn different needlepoint stitches, right? These are both pieces that I just wanted to learn how to needlepoint differently, like learn different stitches besides just, the regular stitch. I'm losing my mind. I can't remember the word. But anyway, so these are different stitches I found. So here's one. I don't know what this is called. Zigzag? I don't know. But I basically did that. And then this was a boxy stitch. I don't know if you can see that. This one drove me a bit crazy. So there's regular tent stitch. That's what it is, tent stitch in the middle. So there's a square of tent stitch, and then there's a square of, I don't know, overstitch in a box. So there's every other box is a tent stitch. And then there's see, it's like it goes from small to large to small again. I don't know the names. This one is, yeah, I don't know. I got a bee in my bonnet and decided to learn how to do these. And I thought, well, the best way to do them is to do them over and over and over and over again. That's the best way to learn something, is to do that, is just to keep doing them over and over and over again. And then I switched it up and I went to smaller. That's all tent stitch again in there with just an outline. And then I went really small with these. So I have not mounted this piece. I do actually like it a lot. That's tent stitch as well. So I actually really like it. I did it as part of my creative arts therapy, where when I stitched this, my friend and I, from Institute of Transpersonal Psychology in Palo Alto, we were both doing a stress reduction paper. And so I did 30 days of stitching and then charted my own stress reduction and my own sleep habits, to see if stitching would help my sleep habits during grad school. And it did. After I stitched some of this, I felt better. And it also reduced my anxiety on the plane flying out to California from Virginia every so many months that I had to do that. The last needlepoint finish is this one. Again, this was one that came from a magazine, which I think has changed names. It was a magazine out of New Zealand. And this was from, I will put the name of the magazine and the issue, because you can still buy the online magazine. They only have 72 issues, but you can buy them. And this was a cross stitch pattern that I adapted to needlepoint, again, just basic tent stitch. And then I did other stitches here so that I could learn how to do them. So again, this was my experimental sampler one. I was in New York when I did this. I started it when I was working off Broadway, in a play called Lie of the Mind by Sam Shepard. And I would do this during rehearsal and backstage. So these were different stitches. This is like a fluffy stitch where you do it loose and then you cut the top of it off. I don't know if you can see that, so that you fluff it up. You do a tent stitch, but you do it really loose and then you cut the top of it's really cool to make it fluffy, like a dog's tail or something. And then different directions, different angles. The little bumblebee, I added these recently. And then the face is basic tent stitch, some back stitching. And then this was stump work. My first attempt at stump work. If any of you know what stump work is, it's a 3-dimensional style of stitching where you build on top of your piece, or you make the 3-dimensional piece and then you sew it in. So I thought I'd do the baby bumblebee's wings. And I think Anna from Sweet Anna from Stitching Roadie. Her stitchy room is called the Beehive. So I hope she's watching this. I hope she sees this. Because there's a little sleepy bumblebee. Except, I'll send him over to the beehive. Bye. Bzz, he's sleeping. He's not making honey right now, but there's his little, I added his little stinger. And so these are, again, a star pattern stitch, more tent stitch, and more of these side stitches. So it's by Edwards. What's the woman's first name? Elizabeth Edwards made this pattern. And it was an online magazine, which I will put the name of it down here. But it was issue number 2. I remember that. And this was Asleep with the Daisies, I think, is the name of the pattern. But it was just really, really fun. And those are my stitchy finishes so far that I have to share with you. All right, let's move on to Hungarian patterns. I think they're Hungarian. Patterns from my mother's travels. Let's do that. I found them in a rolled up tube in her estate stuff, like when we were going through all of her stuff. And there was a whole huge series of boxes of cross stitch, as I told you before, and stashes, and there was this tube, and I opened it up, and there were these rolled up patterns, and I was like, these are cool. Where are they from? And there's no indication of where they were from. My mom just collected stuff and bought them and on her travels, and so I'm calling them the Hungarian patterns just because I think that's what they look like to me. But if you guys have any information on when I show these to you, if you think you know where they came from, please let me know in the comments below. Okay, here we go. Okay, so these are pretty long. Aren't they pretty? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort of scan up. Oop, there's some birds. There's some little buggy bugs or birds or flowers or something. I don't know. I think those are birds. I don't know. And they're just so interesting, each one of these. And she's got sheets and sheets and sheets of these. So here's another sheet. This is what makes me think that maybe I could put another sampler together for myself. Now, if you guys were watching last video, you saw my mom doing these. There was a little tiny picture in my last video of her doing these in different red colors with different blended floss and stuff. So that's why I'm wondering if these are from the Danish princess that she met when she did Danish American Days with Ginny Thompson down at Pawleys Island. I don't know if that's where she got these or not. I have no idea. Maybe these are Danish. I don't know. Anyway, so this is great. I think this motif is really fun. I can see these like, I don't know, green and purples and reds. And they look like little bugs. Aren't those cool? They look like little bugs flying around. Oh, it's so cool. Yeah. And then up here, these are nice big block ones too. These look like tulips or something. I don't know. I like these. And then this one's really pretty. I like this motif a lot. I can see this on like a pulled thread fabric, like a heart hanger. You know, that this could be pulled thread. You could like put make them squares. Do you guys do heart hanger? Does anybody out there do heart hanger? Pulled thread? I think that would be a really cool pattern for that. And then, of course, this is another cool stitchy motif. Yeah. Not quite fleur-de-lis, but something. And then this is why I thought it was like Hungarian. I mean, is this like a shield? It's like a bird shield or something. Look at those birds. Laura, birds. I know I have to stop. I have to doing shout outs. I have to stop doing shout outs for Laura. She's going to get sick of hearing me say, yes, I know. Okay. So this little lady It looks like she's got a tray of, what is that? She's like this square blocked lady head. It's like a Teletubby. I don't know. Like a little, is that a cat? I don't know. That's creepy. It's coming up Halloween. It's the Frankenstein person with a cup of tea. So funny. And then I guess these are reindeer. I might soften out the edges if I actually pattern that. Oh, and the bottom part is really neat too. Now, anybody who knows their clerical symbolism, is this St. Matthew? Is the lamb with the, is that Matthew or Paul? It's one of the apostles. So that's a motif for one of the apostles. I think it's Matthew, but I don't know. It could be Mark, could be Luke, could be John. I don't know. Somebody in the comment, let me know. Somebody tell me, which apostle is that for? Oh, these are kind of cool. These are like space alien plants. And they go all the way around. So like I could see these, I don't know, on a dining room cloth, dinner table cloth. Because look, it goes around the corner. Boop, 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 boop. That's kind of cool. And then down here is the other corner. Boop, 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 boop. I think that's how this was intended. Just for dining room tablecloths. Oh, look at this. I love this motif. These are beautiful. Again, I would maybe soften the edges of the feather, you know, the tail feathers. But if these are pulled threads, you know, if these were designed for hardanger or some sort of pulled thread where there's supposed to be space in between, I can see very well why that would be designed that way. And then these are, you know, your basic star blocks. So cool. This one's awesome. Wow. Wow. Look at that peacock. Is that a peacock or a bird? And then, of course, this has this, but it's also reflected. The bird, like this, is reflected in this, which I think is really cool. And then these are kind of kooky little square-necked swans. I don't know. That's wacky. That's wacky that there's like a triangle neck there for, anyway. It's wacky. It looks good though. It looks pretty cool together. But any of these could be, I was thinking of like, oh, I love this. This is lovely. I was thinking, you know, if I do my own sampler, I would go ahead and, oh, there's hearts right there. I would just like cut them up, like Xerox them. Of course, Xerox them. I'm not going to, or Xerox. That dates me so much. Copy them on a copier. That dates me so much. Or I could scan them into my laptop, and then just take out the images or the motifs that I want and put them on a pattern, which I think is how Long Dog does it. You know, I'm sure nobody at Long Dog is sitting there with a pencil and squared paper, like drawing out every little symbol. Maybe they did in the beginning, but not now. Everybody does everything on computer now. So, or do they? I don't know. If you guys are pattern makers out there, let me know. Do you use a graph paper and then just draw your images? Look at this, little ladies. Again, it's these weird little loop-de-loops, makes them look like space aliens, like the bugs have grown up into be space alien people. Ooh, can you tell it's coming up Halloween? Isn't that great? Such interesting images. Really cool. And I love these guys, these griffins. Look at that. At first I thought there was a baby griffin on its back, but I think those are wings. I don't know. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah, I think those are the griffin wings. Or maybe it could be like a little baby griffin, like kicking its legs up. Those are the feet. I don't know. Yes, I see things differently than the rest of the world. And then these, I think, are little deer. How deer. Again, space alien deer. They're all done in square blocks, but that's okay. That's okay. And then I just love this one. I just adore this one because I can just see taking the sections of these out and just putting them, I don't know, randomly somewhere. I don't know. I just think they're really beautiful. These pomegranates, again, they're designed to go around a corner. You know, they're designed for, I think, tablecloths or something. And then you can just continue the patterns on and on and on. They have this. Aren't they pretty? Ah, and that's it. Those are the patterns from my mother's travels. So let me know what you think. If you think they are Hungarian or Danish or something, I don't know. You let me know. We shall take a vote. My mother has not come back to tell me what they are, so I rely on you. If anybody has any research or detail about the history of samplers out there, maybe I'll do some more research on my own and come back and tell you. But those are them. Thanks for letting me share. Okay. Well, today's been fun. Let's see what else. You know, when I was looking through the finishes with you just now, I was thinking of all the, I don't know if you've had this experience. I'll just speak for myself. I have made wedding samplers, Christmas stockings for family members. I give them aprons, like the top of the apron has been cross-stitched and stuff. And I give these projects away to family members and people that I know, and then I never see them in their homes. Do you guys ever have that? That you give these things away, you spent months, sometimes years. I mean, if it was a wedding sampler, like I did a really fancy pulled thread wedding sampler for my brother and my sister-in-law with like beads and everything, and it was a Teresa Winslet design that I made into a sampler. And if any of you have ever done a Teresa Winslet, and I did it on Hardanger as a pulled thread piece too, and it was really, it took a long time. They opened it, they were like, oh, it's beautiful, thank you so much. I think I saw it there once, and then after that, I think it was in a box in a basement. and they had a flood, and so I have an image that this sampler was in a cardboard box in the flood in the basement, and that they just threw it out, or they sent it to Goodwill or something. I don't know. Hey ho. Anyway, so that makes me think this. I regularly will rescue cross-stitch pieces from thrift shop places, even if I don't like them or I don't want them. I wouldn't necessarily hang them in my house, but I do save them, and here's why. If they've got religious sayings on it, I can donate it to a church or a children's room or the Sunday school room, which I have done. When I was in New York City, I found a sampler of, it was like a Noah's Ark, the animals from Noah's Ark. It was really beautiful. It must have taken this person hours and hours. I mean, and it had somebody's name on it. It had Noah on it, like a little boy's name was Noah. And I took it to the Children's Chemo Ward at Sloan Kettering and donated it. And they didn't turn it away. They were like, oh, this is lovely. Yes, we'll hang it in the chemo room for the kids. So there you go. So maybe there's a synagogue or a mosque or something, if you come across something that, you know, would be appropriate to donate. I do believe in saving stitch projects. I think I told you this in the first video, actually. I sent the footprints saying where a man and God were walking on the beach, and the man looked back at his footprints in the sand and said, God, during all of the hard parts of my life, I only see one set of footprints. Like, where were you in all of those tough times in my life? You had me walk alone. And God says to the man, oh, my sweet child, when you see only one set of footprints, those are the times that I was carrying you. Sweet, right? So I found that story, and it had been embroidered. It was all done in backstitch on beautiful canvas fabric. A friend of mine in Florida and her husband were going through a bad time. He was in and out of the hospital. She was struggling. And I mailed it to them. And it's in their home. And that just made me feel good. I hung it on my wall for about 2 weeks and I mailed it to them. That just makes me feel good. And so maybe I will frame these pieces and donate them. I don't know. I had the pleasure and joy of stitching them. And maybe someone else will have the pleasure and joy of seeing them. And if not, if they end up in your Goodwill store someday, somewhere either in Virginia or Washington State or Seattle or wherever you are, or Oregon or Canada or New Zealand even, I don't know, Australia, I don't know, things travel, right? If they end up in a thrift shop store, please rescue them and donate them to a children's hospital or a children's room in a spiritual center, or I don't know. Let's go out and rescue those abandoned cross-stitch pieces wherever we find them. Don't let them go by. Just take them home. Even if they're not something that you would hang in your home, just rescue them, because somebody put time and love and effort into them. And just because the person that either the estate sale, they got sold or something, that's okay. We can rescue them and we can find other people who will love them. And that's the gift that we can pass on to each other. Because stitching really is a legacy. What we do as cross-stitchers matters. One stitch at a time, one day at a time. Don't be blue. Don't be sad, because we're out there stitching with you. Have a beautiful week. Blessings. Peace. Campbell. Bye-bye.
You're not the first to